Let me record. It is Wednesday, March 29th, and the Give and Go show is back in your life. We are a full team again. Matt Ferentinos has rejoined us. He had a very busy week last week getting ready for a golf trip and then
secret golf trip
proceeding to go on this golf trip. But we are back. We're talking NBA basketball. We're talking anime. I'm sure we'll talk some other stupid bullshit that nobody cares about. I am in a new apartment, so it's kind of messy. So I'm going to be doing a stand-up view, so you can't see anything on the floor. Although Julia just did a really, really good 15-minute clean of this office so that it would look good on the video, even though I told her nobody watches the show. So,
comment
it's on her.
Comment to your favorite hat in the background. Shout out to the middle.
Which of her cowboy hats do you love the most behind my head?
What's the difference between the two outside ones?
Yeah. Let the fans decide.
Let's find out.
They look the exact same on video and from afar.
They're slightly different. So this one of them has like a leather band, a little like corded leather band, and the other one looks to have like a fabric band. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah.
And one looks a little bit. One looks black. One looks brown.
This one is also darker. The one on my right hand is darker.
Yeah. Okay.
They both could be Indiana Jones cosplay hats. So
they could be. They should be. Back up here.
While we're talking nerdy before we get into NBA, Ferentinos, how has Hogwarts gone for you?
Oh, amazing! I mean,
He's a squib. He's not allowed in.
I haven't finished it, to be honest. I've also been helping Carly get through it, so I've been kind of like replaying some of it with her as well. But I love it every time I play. I'm just not there yet in the main storyline, but I do need to get back to it and just start grinding.
Don't stop referring to it. Stop referring to things that you enjoy doing as grinding. That's not what grinding is.
I guess like spending hours upon end on a certain activity.
Right, but nothing in your life would be more enjoyable for you than actually being in Hogwarts. So like it's not grinding for you. It's like a borderline religious experience.
I'm okay with it being called grinding because you are like, I mean, it's hard work. You sit there on hours. You got to level up your character. You got to kill some evil goblins.
You got to go to the room of requirement. You got to collect coins. You got to do jobs to make money. It's like life.
Nobody's removing any bones from your arms because of a bad Quidditch accident. I don't know if hard work is the term that I want to use here. But what you will call it, nuclear if you want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of. Just on the nerdy talk, Hogwarts, another IP, because I saw something about like Disney trying to acquire Harry Potter or a meme about that. And Star Wars.
No chance they can afford it.
So Carly had never seen Star Wars, so we just watched A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. I've been current on Mandalorian. Mandalorian has been nuts lately. Like I've really enjoyed the episodes. But it's fun watching the old like 70s Star Wars. I didn't realize they did so much to the like digitally remastered New Hope. Some of the things I like, some of the things I'm just like, it's like forced in. It kind of ages it. It's unnecessarily aged. Like it just looks,
The special editions from the 90s, like where Han Solo steps on Jabba the Hutt's tail.
And Han shot first. I mean, that's
why
they change in history.
Which fundamentally changes Han's character. Which is like something that like George Lucas was like, well, I don't want Han to be a murderer. And it's like, no, like first off.
And it was such a bad edit. It was
he did this to prevent himself from dying. Second off, Han being a murderer is like a very important part of his character. He's not a good dude.
He's a scumbag. Like every line of his is just
scoundrel. Like he's
hitting on
a
Leia. And then when Leia doesn't reciprocate to Luke, he's like, what a bitch. Like that's like their dialogue.
You know what Han's job is as a smuggler?
Smuggling like cocaine, drugs. Right?
Yeah, he runs spice. They're literally addictive psychedelics that he's running across the galaxy that lead to drug addiction. But he's supposed
just trying to make a living.
Guy. Like, come on. The Rebel Alliance is made up of bad people. That's okay. Because the Galactic Empire is worse.
Yeah, Darth Vader, child killer. So.
Grand Moff Tarkin, planet killer.
Yeah. As of early February 2023, Disney in talks to acquire Harry Potter.
Wow. That's going to cost them that honestly, I think is going to cost them way more than Star Wars did.
Maybe because
$4 billion for
Yeah, he gave it to them basically at a discount because he didn't want to deal with it anymore. And then he gave 98% of the money or 99% of the money to charity. Like he immediately didn't keep the money.
Yeah, but I mean, poor guy had to just suffer for only selling it for $4 billion.
Yeah. I mean, but like in terms of the value of the IP,
oh, he could have gotten
way,
it for like
way more than 4 billion. He just wanted it out of his hands.
Do you think
Well-
Disney wants to cash in on that sweet theme park like potential? Like I'm trying to think like
yeah,
what else.
because I mean
Universal,
Universal
yeah.
makes all their money from the Harry Potter show.
But I want because the whole thing is the reason that JK went to Warner Brothers is because they still gave her control of the IP, and Disney like notoriously wants 100% of control of the IP. So
if I'm her and I've had the past 5 years that she's had,
I'm giving it up.
I'm giving it up. I don't
Yeah.
want that IP anymore. I don't want to be in the public eye anymore. You go do
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, write under whatever pen name you want to write
You
under.
can hate as many transgender people as you want.
Hey, this
Yeah,
is gonna
and-
get taken
and-
off YouTube in the UK if we're hating on JK Rowling.
Fine. I don't think they're watching things about the NBA anyways. Do they even have any? Do they have games in London? Just the NFL does, right? I don't think we have NBA games in London.
No, they do. Martin Luther
They
King
do?
Day. I'm pretty sure they have games in London.
Interesting time to do a game in London.
I'm almost positive.
Hey, black men in America. You know how influential this day is in your lives? We're sending you to Europe today.
Yeah, there's games in London and Paris this year.
Oh.
Okay.
I guess the
'Cause
Paris
there's
one I
also-
remember.
I know there's Mexico City that they do every so often, and then there's they do the preseason games. Usually honestly, it's always the Warriors and the Wizards in Tokyo,
Yeah, in China. Or yeah.
which is in Japan.
No, I know. I thought
they
it was
also do the press tours in China.
I say
that's what I was
LeBron goes to
thinking of, yeah.
China.
I think
that
the
money.
Rockets often do things in China because of the Yao Ming connection.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And Daryl Morey almost got started
yeah.
World War III.
Yeah, that was a fun time in NBA history.
Yeah, that was
James
crazy.
Harden also speaks like a bunch of Mandarin. Like there's a lot of videos of him speaking.
Really?
Mandarin.
Does he?
Yeah, because he has like they just have a bunch of videos. Like I'm pretty sure I saw James
The
like an
Mandarin?
apology or some sort of statement from James Harden to like the Chinese people after Daryl Morey made those comments. I think and like
I
he
think
speaks a
I think
surprising
John
amount of
Cena also
Mandarin.
speaks Mandarin, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's looking out for his
Yeah.
money." It's like, yeah, dude. I mean, I don't make that much money, but I look out for my money too.
Yeah. I love how that's like a
what
like an
take
own.
is that?
Yeah, that's like an own of people.
no, you're only going to make tens of millions of dollars this year.
Yeah.
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 That is like the South Park episode of them going to China makes perfect sense. Like Randy's idea to sell weed in China.
I don't
I
know
haven't
if
seen
I've
that
seen
one.
it. Is this
I haven't-
is
It's
this
like-
is post Tegrity
COVID?
Farms?
So this is post Tegrity Farms, still like Tegrity Farms, and
I
Randy's
haven't
like,
seen that many of the Tegrity Farms episodes.
so he's like, here's a billion idea. Like I gotta tap into the billions of the people in the Chinese market. So he brings a bunch of weed over, and like everyone on the airplane is like NBA people, like LeBron, WWE people, and it's like all these businesses stole my idea. And, like he has to like kill Winnie the Pooh in China to like because
Because they compare the dictator to Winnie the Pooh. Got it.
like Mickey Mouse is there.
This is
and
gonna
he's
get
like-
us. This
yeah,
is gonna
it's a
get us
great-
taken off of Chinese YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, the Mickey
now
Mouse
we
stuff.
are-
fantastic episode.
Uh,
Yeah, Mickey Mouse and South
that
Park.
stuff is that was so funny.
good. The
Yeah.
one with the Jonas Brothers and Mickey Mouse is like from season like 12 or 13
Yeah.
or whatever. The Ring is incredible. It's so
Oh,
good.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, he
Gotta
beats
spray
the
the
dog shit out of
foam.
the Jonas Brothers. It's
Mickey
really,
Mouse does?
really good. Mickey Mouse does, yeah.
Classic.
As a guy who loves the Jonas Brothers, really, really good content. I've been watching a show from my past recently. I don't know if either of you have seen it. You probably have. Ferentinos. I don't know about you, Modai. Did you guys ever watch Trigun back in the day?
No, Elliot. Not. We've talked about that in a group message, but I haven't seen Trigun.
It's Johnny Young Bosch's first voice acting role. He was a Power Ranger. He's also the guy who does the voice of Ichigo Kurosaki in Bleach. It was his first role in the 90s or early 2000s, maybe.
I think he also did a role, someone on Naruto. I'm pretty sure.
He does a lot of stuff voice acting now. I think this was like literally the end of his time, or he may have actually still been a Power Ranger at the time. I'm not sure. But this was like when he was transitioning from J.K. Rowling's going to get more angry about this episode now that I'm talking about transitioning. When he was transitioning from live action to voiceover work, this was like apparently he, I guess, read for it so they could have like an idea of what kind of character they were going for, and they were like, why not just do the part? Like, you've got a good voice for it. So that's how he ended up becoming a voice actor, and it ended up being like a really iconic role, Vash the Stampede. Super super fun show, like a kind of Firefly-esque, where it's like a space western, which is also, you know, kind of Cowboy Bebop-ish. There was a
Yeah,
lot of
Cowboy
space
Bebop.
westerns during that period in media. But I'm rewatching it because there's a new show that came out that's kind of like a prequel series called Trigun Stampede that I think the first season just finished, or maybe it's still ongoing right now as of this week. But I want to watch that. But I'm rewatching Trigun for the first time in like 10 years, and I'm just like, God damn, I love this show so much. It's
Oh, I
got
love-
so
Hell
it's got
yeah.
so much heart.
I love watching anything from like your childhood that's been a while. There's nothing like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Batman
There's
Beyond was
sometimes
good for me.
there's sometimes I watch something and I'm like, wow, this didn't age well. Trigun, like the animation is a little dicey at certain points. Like you can tell which episodes they didn't have a great budget for. And you can tell that he's like kind of starting off in voice acting. With the story and just like the characters, like there's so much soul to it, and you can tell that it's like a passion project for all these guys, and it's so good. Highly recommend it. It's on Hulu, probably also on Crunchyroll, but I'm not positive. But a really really good one if you want to go back to some of the glory days of late 90s, early 2000s,
I mean,
Toonami and Adult Swim.
anything that I could do to relive those glory days. I mean, I still the enjoyment I get out of the OG Pokemon games, like as a 30-year-old, it's just amazing.
Did we tell you what we did on one of our beach trips a few years back?
I don't think so.
With the Pokemon game. So we didn't play it or anything like that, but
I'm less
traditionally when we go on these beach trips, we tend to get there Thursday night. We'd get off work, we'd drive to the beach, we'd get there at like 9 or 10 p.m. Thursday night. We're always like, yeah, we'll have a
60
beer
beers.
or two. We always say that we'll have a beer
At
or two and then we'll go to
7-Eleven.
bed. Ferentinos, Andrew and I got there at like 9 p.m. This is probably like 3 or 4 years ago. We went and we picked up all the beer. We were like, we're going to go to bed. Let's just watch YouTube for a little bit before we go to bed. We put on a Pokemon Red speed run, and we get fucking invested.
Oh, those are so much fun.
We like, and the speed runs are Andrew's favorite thing. Like he loves speed runs so much. We get so invested. We turn it into a drinking game. We probably polish off a 30 between the three of us in an hour and a half. It's like a 2-hour speed run. We end up getting into the second 30. We started playing 3-person beer pong. Like it's like 4 a.m. by the time we go to sleep. We have to work at like 7 in the morning, and we're just housed. Like we're done to the world. And it all started with a Pokemon Red speedrun.
Oh, those are fun. And then also the can't use the Poke Center or like the any heal. You can use items, but you can't go to like any. I forget what it's called. Yeah, is that what it's called? A Nuzlocke?
Nuzlocke run, where you have to, or maybe
Nuzlocke is like when if someone
run or something like that. That's where you have to like, if you see a Pokemon for the first time, you have to catch it.
Yeah, and then if someone faints, then like you can
dead.
no longer. Yeah, they're actually dead.
I've never done. You're talking about, what is yours? I think it might be.
I forget
like
the name of it.
Run or something.
Yeah, I think it might be that. But I got me and one of like my college roommate got like really invested in someone doing it in like the OG Red and Blue.
I always tell myself that if I ever get back to streaming on Twitch or on YouTube or anything like that, that I'm going to do a Nuzlocke run. But it's just like people do those all the time, and what about me?
Yeah,
is and like drive people to that.
And I'm not
I just want to do it.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm not actually like good at Pokemon. Like I don't have like the strategies. Like I'm just like mash attack moves, and like the AI has the intelligence of like a dog, like my dog,
a small child.
Yeah,
that has not actually gone to school yet.
Yeah, so
leveling up your starter and that's it is a great strategy to winning, and just healing every time.
Yeah,
when I grow up, I want to be a Pokeball.
Yeah, I can't do any like the actual battle strategies and stuff. I literally just mash whatever the highest attack move I have, and that's how I play the game.
That'll get you to the Elite Four. That'll get you really far.
Oh yeah. That's how I beat in every single Pokemon game without strategy.
I leveled is Voltorb the first one or Electrode?
Voltorb.
Which one's the higher?
Electrode is Electrode, yeah.
Okay. I leveled an Electrode up to level 99, and I used every stat boost that I got to get its stats up as high as I could. So like everything was as close as possible to 999. And I took that guy through the entire game,
Oh,
fighting everything with an electrode, and I
Wow.
beat the Elite Four and Gary at the end. I
mean,
never even had to
Well,
switch
because
him out. I got him high
lightning
enough.
is also super effective against dragon type. So
And
And
in the
it's not
Gyarados.
effective against
Yeah.
it's not effective against like ghosts and shit, but like I had like one physical move and I just used that
Yeah.
on him.
Yeah, you just fuck them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I told you guys that I like one of my COVID projects was I caught all 151. I think I told you that. Yeah. That was a grind. I will push
I
back
feel
on
like that was around the time that you told us that, I think, like right when we started this show. When we started doing this, I think we were talking about that.
Yeah, I'm
it
still
was,
trying to do my Pokedex for the new one.
oh yeah.
I'm at
I kind of
320, I think.
Yeah, I kind of
Out of
stopped
400.
once I beat the game, I stopped playing the new one. I tried to get all 251 in Crystal, and I gave up on the dogs because it was so hard. The three.
Oh, there's so
Oh
much.
my,
Yeah,
they're
it's so difficult.
It's so hard.
I remember getting them when Crystal first came. Was it either Silver or I guess it was Crystal? Yeah.
No,
Because
Crystal
Silver's,
was a yellow equivalent. It came out later than Gold and Silver.
Right. So I had Silver, and I didn't get them all in that, and then I got Crystal, and I didn't get all 251 or whatever it was, but I got real close. And I mean, we were 11 at that point, so like
Yeah.
that was basically like I would sit with my Game Boy so that I didn't have to buy battery packs. I had like the charger thing or whatever, and I would sit with it plugged into the wall, just plugged into my Game Boy.
Classic.
Sit with my head up against the wall, just looking down at my screen, playing it for like 7 straight hours, doing so much damage to my spine. But like, you're a kid. What else are you doing at 2 a.m?
Yeah, that's what I did during COVID, except I was on the couch next to my dog. Like my girlfriend was out of town for the first 2 months of COVID because she was like, I don't want to be in DC. So I was like, my dog gets me up at like 7 a.m.
And you were a grown man at that time.
And I was a grown man at that time. And there's literally nothing for me to do aside, especially on the weekends, because no sports. My roommates didn't wake up until like 3 p.m. So I was like, I got like a literally 8-hour day of just playing Pokemon before my roommates step out of their bedrooms.
Love that for you. You guys want to talk about basketball?
This has just been so much fun, but yeah,
I know. I love talking about fucking anime and dumb video games. They were like, did you guys see the new Zelda trailer? Not trailer.
But the gameplay
demonstration.
I didn't.
No,
I still have to beat Breath of the Wild, so I don't want to tempt myself.
So good.
There's no spoilers. There's no spoilers in the gameplay.
I don't care about spoilers, but just like gameplay, even to
like,
get me excited to buy it, because that'll probably happen if I see it.
Yeah, one of my things is like if I know I'm going to watch a movie or play a game, I try to avoid as much content as I can to make it as like completely new as possible. So
I get that. I fully get that.
It's the worst thing you see.
It looks like it's going to be really good. It looks like it's going to be just more Breath of the Wild, more options, more creativity. I'm super fucking jazzed for it. Zelda is probably my second favorite video game series ever, so I can't wait.
Yeah, Zelda doesn't miss. I mean,
Zelda doesn't miss. I've been playing since fucking
Ocarina of Time. Is that the first one?
Ocarina of Time is actually not the first one I played. It was on N64. Yeah, the first one I played was on Majora's Mask. My favorite Zelda.
What was the Super Nintendo one?
It was Link to the Past.
A Link to the Past, yeah.
Yeah, so there was also a Game Boy version of A Link to the Past.
When it came out on GBA, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, I had one of those too, and I think that might have been the first one that I actually owned. But I would go across the street to play my buddy's N64. Ferentinos knows which buddy I'm talking about. My buddy Kevin O'Brien, who I used for his video games growing up. Great guy.
Everybody has that friend growing up.
He must be like 50 now.
Yeah, he's what am I? I'm about to be 31. He just turned 36. So yeah, Modai, my friend that I used for video games, was 5 years older than me.
He's a little creepy, but that's okay.
Yeah, we became friends when I was 6 because I needed somebody that had video games because I wasn't allowed to own them.
Jack just sent me a video, and it was turning 31 feels weird because when you go to a party, you walk in and there's 2 types of parties. There's either a bunch of babies or cocaine, and you don't know which one it is.
I think it'd probably be good to know ahead of time which one it is.
So you don't bring your baby to a
you
cocaine
could be the guy
party.
to bring the baby to the cocaine party.
I wish I knew the comedian.
Or the cocaine to the baby party.
I have to find the comedian because it was from a comedian, so to give proper credentials, but it was hilarious.
Was it Dan Soder?
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like I've heard a variation of this bit. or Shane Gillis. I feel like I've heard either Shane Gillis or
It
Dan
wasn't
Snyder.
Shane Gillis. I know him, but
I
it
love
was
Shane
hilarious.
Gillis. I think Shane Gillis is so fucking funny. Like, I think so
Yeah.
many of the guys in the Rogan sphere of comedians suck and are not good. And like, they just tell stories and they're not even that funny of stories. And then I see Shane Gillis do stuff and I'm like, you're the funniest man on earth.
Yeah, he's hilarious. But just being 31, thought to bring that up.
You are 31. Moda, you're not 31 yet, right?
No, I think we're both May, right? I'm May.
We're
25th.
both May, right? Yeah.
I'm
You're the
25th.
youngest of us. I'm May 8th.
Yeah, I'm a big baby. No big deal.
Yeah, that 2.5 week difference, man.
Huge difference.
Huge difference. All right.
All right. Let's talk basketball.
About basketball. Yeah, let's do it. What do you guys want to talk about this week? We're almost at the end of the season. We've got like 7 games to go.
Yeah, I just want to laugh at the Mavericks. I know we talked about this I think last week, but the fact that they're the 11th seed, it is more advantageous for them to tank at this point than to get into the play-in.
Well, is it? Do they have their pick?
They, Zach Lowe talked about it. I don't know exactly what it is, but there is a way they could get their pick, basically.
Sure. If it doesn't convey this year, maybe it conveys next year or something like that.
Yeah,
if it's in a certain spot.
It's like a swap this year, and they give it up. I forget like the way the Porzingis thing worked, but
yeah, losing
I think they do have
back-to-back games to the Hornets is brutal.
That's so bad.
Incredibly
bad.
Although the Hornets are hot. The
because they're basically fixed in what sort of like position they're in terms of draft picks. Like no one's going to jump over them, but they're not going to jump over anybody else. So at this point, like you got young guys, you might as well win games with them, right?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to win. No, it looks like I guess they have draft picks for a couple of years. They own theirs in 2024 and 25. This can't be right.
Honestly, the draft pick trading in the NBA makes my head hurt. So like I don't even bother trying to figure it out.
So this coming year, the Knicks have their round 1 pick, and their round 2 pick goes to one of OKC, Boston, or Indiana. In 2024, they've got their pick. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be protected. I don't know. Maybe the site I'm on might just not be showing it.
I saw something on Twitter about like it being more advantageous for them to tank, but I mean, Twitter's never been incorrect in terms of their facts, so I just took it as gospel.
Oh, actually, it looks like the 2023 pick to the Knicks this year is top 10 protected. So I mean, I guess if they fall in the top 10, they might as well. This is probably going to be like during the Luka era. This might be their last chance to get a good pick. But knowing the Mavericks, they're probably going to trade it for some over the hill role player to pair with Luka. That's just not going to work out because they're going to have no like cohesiveness.
LeBron James and Draymond Green.
So you did send that one to us in the group chat before we got going. And I said, I think that there must be some smoke there because Bill Simmons doesn't say highly specific shit like that if he doesn't have some sort of rumor circulating in some front office. Do you think that there is a chance of that happening?
No, I think that, I mean, I guess a chance, like there's a chance, like if you had asked me, there's a
legitimate chance. Like, do you think this is something that Draymond Green and LeBron James and their agents are talking about?
I don't think so. I mean, someone like posted a clip about like, this was like this past summer of Draymond, someone asked him on his podcast, his favorite player to watch. And he said, Luka. I don't know if you guys saw this clip. It like circulated today because of the news. But someone was just like using that as like, oh, see, like he's been trying to go to Dallas. I mean, I think if there's an owner that wants nothing more than to pull it off, it's probably Mark Cuban. So I guess like,
sure.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess, I mean, to be honest, like you should learn at this time or with the NBA that there's like nothing is crazy. Like everything's possible, I guess. So
not everything. Yeah, LeBron James is not going to the Jazz. I'm gonna nip that in the bud right now. That's Wayne
Wade partial ownership. I'm just saying.
Wayne Wade partial ownership. That is true. Oh, maybe.
I'm just saying.
What a plot twist that would
immediate counterpoint. That was you win the debate here.
Wow, I forgot. I actually honestly forgot about that. I forgot because like he wasn't able to buy into the Heat or something like that.
It's the most random thing in the world. Like why the Utah Jazz of all teams?
Probably something to do with their valuation, or maybe he has other like business interests in Salt Lake. I would guess.
I mean, a lot of people do. So
I think D Wade is another one of those dudes who's trying to be a billionaire like as young as possible, and Salt Lake's got a really big tech scene right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's like heavily invested in the area. Yeah, because it's like low cost.
I didn't know
living. A lot of companies moved there in the past 5 years. They're building a lot of like server space out there to try and incentivize people to move there. I would not move there. Like, I don't want to live in Salt Lake. And from what I understand about the actual literal Salt Lake, there's a very high possibility that that area could be like literally toxic in the next 10 years.
Okay.
But there's a lot of it's kind of like Boise, Idaho, out of nowhere has become like the third biggest tech center in the United States behind San Francisco and
Austin.
It might be Austin.
I know Austin is pretty big, but yeah,
like Boise's cost of living has like tripled in 5 years because of all the different tech firms moving there. It's just wild. Neither here nor there. I don't think LeBron James is going to move to Boise.
Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to laugh at the Mavericks. I think it's hilarious that they are the 11th seed now after trading for Kyrie. So I think we talked about. I know we talked about it in a previous episode, but the fact that they're the 11th seed is just.
We can talk bad. About the Mavericks and Kyrie going down with each other every week if you guys want to. Not going down on each other, to be clear, but going down with each other.
Okay.
What game do you think gets better ratings? Lakers versus Mavs play-in game as the 9-10 or Game 7 of the NBA Finals?
Lakers Mavs.
Are the Lakers in Game 7 of the NBA Finals?
No.
Then Lakers Mavs.
It's
just crazy to think about.
You've seen the list of like the top 10 rated games from the past like year or whatever, right?
It's like a lot of mostly Lakers games. Like
it's like 4 Lakers, 4 Warriors. I think maybe a Celtics,
Cavs.
Sixers. I don't think Cavs are on the list.
That's surprising. I didn't see this list though, so no.
And
possibly the Nets when Katie and Kyrie were there.
I think maybe Nets, Knicks, or something like that. Yeah. Like it's basically like
markets.
California, Boston, New York. Like that's it. Those are the only teams on the list, and it's who's playing those 4 teams. So people will be like, "Oh, the Pacers." But it's like it's Pacers, Warriors. No one cares about the Pacers side of this.
And this was what, like post LeBron Heat era?
Oh, I'm just. This is just the past year. This is like literally.
Sorry, I thought you said 10 years.
No, I'm sure it's probably still the past 10 years. Although, yeah, like that's why you mentioned the Cavs. That makes sense. I think the Cavs Boston series are up there, as are the Cavs Warriors series for the past 10 years. But I don't know the actual breakdown of like the 10 biggest games. It's probably pretty much Christmas and finals.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I thought you said 10 years. That's what I was thinking.
No, it's my fault.
Warriors have been playing good.
They have. They're a few games over 500 now, I think.
Yeah.
I still don't believe in them.
Although that loss against the Timberwolves was terrible. Like when
Timberwolves
they turned it over.
Are playing good too, though.
Timberwolves are hot.
Off 4 straight, and they've done each one of those wins. I was looking through them, and I watched a couple of those wins. They're doing them different ways. They had a fucking gritty defensive battle. They had a come from behind, like Cat taking over at the end.
That Warriors win. They beat the Kings in Sacramento.
Light the beam.
Look, I'm just saying the Timberwolves are not to be ruled out just yet.
Well, ruled out of what exactly?
Of a second round exit.
Okay. Well, I mean, like
there was a point where people were like, "This team is cooked for the year." They were like 4 games below 500. No one thought they were going to get back over. Karl-Anthony Towns comes back. I don't like Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't think he is like a player for this team. They've won 4 straight. I mean, this is the time to get hot.
I guess they could beat if it's 7-2 them against the Grizzlies. First of all, that series would be super.
We don't want that series.
I was just gonna say, like,
that series.
Do you think that a play-in team in the West can win a playoff series against the Nuggets or Grizzlies? Like, just given those,
for sure.
We talked about this a lot last week, actually, Ferentinos. I think Moda and I both said that we think the Lakers would beat the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Got to see how LeBron comes back.
Because if LeBron comes back healthy, that team already put together with AD, like
they won his minutes on the court the other night. I'm not saying that means anything here or there, but like outside of the fact that it just kind of fucked up their rotations a bit to have him come off the bench, they looked good when he was on the court the other night.
Yeah, you just got to beat the Bulls.
Well, I mean, that's also
Patrick Beverly.
Next 5 years are his.
He's there to ruin the Lakers playoff chances. But no, I mean, it just shows that they have constructed this team well, because there are so many different moving parts, and to see them playing so much better post All-Star break compared to like the Mavericks or other teams that kind of sacrifice depth for All-Stars. It's kind of Good victory for the Lakers.
Team finally makes
and
sense.
I mean they missed D'Angelo Russell for like 10 of the 15 games. They missed Mo Bamba. Not that he's like a difference maker, but he is another big man to take pressure off of AD for a portion of the game. They've missed him almost the entire time. Yeah, dude, Austin Reeves season.
Baller.
We talked about this one on the pod last week as well. It's an hour-and-a-half highlight reel on the NBA YouTube channel of Austin Reeves that they posted a week or two ago.
Poor intern that clipped that.
Fucking absurd. Like I'll say he's really fun to watch. Like if you're gonna watch a highlight reel of a random white role player, like there's probably worse options.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like an hour and a half of Austin Reeves highlights are literally all of the Austin Reeves highlights.
I'll stick to Jason Williams if I had to pick.
Love an elbow pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
gotta love
white
J-Lo.
chocolate. Love white chocolate.
He crossed up Gary Payton in a playoff game.
was he your hero growing up, Ferentinos?
One of them, Steve Nash, I'd say.
Steve Nash. Steve Nash.
You knew long-haired Ferentinos who used the ball. You know,
definitely thought he was a American Steve Nash. I believe that. Yeah, God, what do you guys want to talk about? We're at this weird spot, and we were texting about this the other day about like this last 2 weeks of the season, and we talked a little bit about like how long the season is. Nobody plays because everyone's either shut down for the year, like you're seeing with like a Damian Lillard or a Bradley Beal or a Kyle Kuzma, or you are preparing for the playoffs, and so they're going to rest you either the rest of the season or every other game, or you're only going to play one out of every three, because unless you're in contention for like defensive player of the year or MVP or something like that, assuming you're healthy, like they just want you to be ready for the playoffs. So we're at this weird spot where it's like bench squads taking each other on.
It's kind of funny where it's like the most impactful time of the year for like these teams, and then also nobody is trying. It's like like a very weird like combination there. Like the Bucks are playing the Pistons, or it's the Pistons or Pacers playing someone bad tonight. I think the Pacers.
They're playing
the Pistons are taking on the Thunder, I think.
Yeah, okay, so it's Bucks Pistons, and then they're like sitting, or they're like a lot of players were questionable because then they play the Celtics tomorrow. So it's like they'd rather obviously rest them for the like if they're going to rest them for the back-to-back, then they'll have them play against the Celtics. Like Chris Middleton's out tonight. I think Giannis is in. I think Drew's in, but and then there's like other teams like the Celtics are just like going through the motions. You can definitely tell they're just ready for the playoffs to start.
I feel like the Sixers are too.
Yeah, well, the Sixers had won
going through the motions.
They'd won like 6 straight, and then they've lost 3 straight.
Because they almost took over the Celtics like pretty handily for the second seed. Now,
and if they're going to, what we were saying, the Wizards, you got to give them credit. They blew the doors off the Celtics.
Hey, and speaking of guys playing and not playing, Kristaps Porzingis is playing for a contract. I heard the Wizards are going to sign him and Kuzma long term.
You got to lock up the 11 seed of the East. You got to lock.
Look, man, when you have a chance at a play-in game, you got to take it. You got to go all in on that
for that play-in.
You don't even want to be a play-in champ. You just want to participate. The Wizards are not here to take over. They're here to take part.
We're here to play in.
Yes.
Oh, God, my life sucks.
My friend commented because I roasted the Commanders for not being in on Lamar Jackson. My friend commented like, you gotta stop roasting Washington sports, man. Like it's too depressing.
Yeah, honestly,
it's like beating up a kid who's got like nothing going their way. I was going to say something else, but I realized that that's not very PC. So just like stop beating up the kid who's like poor and is an orphan and maybe doesn't have working legs. Like that's DC sports. No. My pinned tweet for like 6 years on Twitter when they introduced pinned tweets was DC sports, the only thing more disappointing than sleeping with me. And until the Caps won that title, that was like I would retweet it every like 6 months because they would just keep losing in big opportune moments.
Yeah, once you get a championship, like you can't claim that anymore.
Sure,
you get like a buffer of like a 10-year span.
We were the longest drought, I think, in major cities, and now it's Minneapolis that now has the longest drought in North American.
Yeah, Vikings, Twins. I can see that. Wolves.
It's like anybody that has at least 2 teams in their city, I think, is what they counted as. And Minneapolis is now on like a 28-year run or something like that of not winning.
I'm honestly surprised that they won something 28 years ago. Like Minneapolis is up there with DC as the saddest sports city.
Twins won in the late 90s?
Did they?
Right?
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know
Or
that.
maybe the late 80s. The
think it was the
Twins
late
won at some point.
80s.
I think it was the late 80s. I think it was right before we were born. So yeah,
I feel like
that
the
actually might be
Braves
a
won
third.
in the late 90s.
And
They
at
have
least
similar color
Atlanta has
scheme.
gotten teams to
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they just won.
they get there at least.
That's almost worse.
I don't know. I always used to say like I'd rather make it all the way and lose, because like obviously this is coming from a perennial loser, which is why I would say
how did
shit
the
like
last
this
two
caps
major
closed.
sports seasons feel, Modi?
Yeah, exactly. It's awful. I mean,
But like you got to see your teams in the biggest game of the year.
like the Phillies run, I will cherish forever. Like that, it sucked that they lost, but that came out of nowhere, and that was so much fun. The Eagles, I will wake up in a cold sweat for years about them losing that Super Bowl. So
we talked about this. I mean, like, yes, I get it, but like, I wish we lived in a world with no injuries and you could do like Madden style, like 100% stamina,
play the best,
where you could do you not even just play the best, but like you do Phillies Chiefs 7-game series.
Yeah,
you do it over the course of a month
on a normal field.
Yeah, you like you take out all the different like neutral stuff, and obviously like all that stuff is part of the game and it influences the game, and that's fine. But I'm just so curious to see how those teams actually do against each other, repeated big game moments, because I feel like it'd be like final cumulative score between the two of them, like 420 to 418 or something like that.
Yeah. But I think part of the fun that makes like a series is like the game to game adjustment.
Sure.
So you know what I mean? Like you never know like what game 1 would look like compared to game 4. Cause that's always like what I find so fascinating is like, okay, like who throws the first punch and counter punch, and then it's like back and forth. Whereas in football, it's like you have one game to figure it out.
Well, that's why halftime adjustments are always such a big thing in football.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, halftime adjustments. And literally there are players that are just like, there's no halftime adjustments. We were just getting our ass kicked. We just need to execute.
We just were better.
Yeah.
Tristan Thompson said the other day that when they were, I think before they played game 5 against the Warriors in 2016, they or somebody on their team saw like one of the boards in like the Warriors locker room, or they saw a sheet or something listed out on all the different like painkillers and shit and different workout regimens and health regimens that various members of the Warriors were on. And Tristan Thompson and the rest of the guys were like, look, if we can get game 5, this team is so beat up that we can push this to 7. All we have to do is win game 5. And there's the thing LeBron said before they got on the flight for, I think after game 4, when they went down 3-1, he was like, if y'all don't think we can win this series, don't get on the plane. Like there absolutely is this like late adjustment that these teams do, even if you go down super hard, because one team tends to be more burnt out than the other. And particularly in a 7-game series, like guys are dropping like flies by the time you get to the finals. Everyone is fucked up.
Talking like strategic advantage though, like I think like
it goes
like you're seeing
ways.
one like
sure.
They run
I mean, you know how to take somebody
counter.
out of the game. Look at how they played Curry in game 6 and 7 versus how they played him in the first 3 or 4 games. They were throwing bodies at him. I mean, they let Draymond have 40 points to take everything they could from Curry.
They
was like 7 for 8 from 3 or some shit like that. It was
Draymond?
Nuts.
Yeah.
Draymond had the greatest game of his life, game 7 in the finals, and people forget about it because he took on one of the greatest games ever from the opposing team. But that was like Draymond's MVP moment.
Well, like I remember one of the biggest adjustments the Cavs made was they took LeBron off of Harrison Barnes, because Harrison Barnes was terrible, and they put him on Draymond basically to like be like a free safety, kind of like what the Bucks do with Giannis. Like they'll put him on someone that might not be a threat, so then he can like really what he's best at on
just
defense.
Like double and disrupt.
And that's what he had done when he was on the Heat as well. He played free safety, and he was just him and D Wade.
LeBron on the Heat free safety is a different beast.
Sure.
That
like doing it for one, like he couldn't do it for an entire season like he did on the Heat. Doing it on the Cavs, you only had that for 1 or 2 series because he was doing so much offensively.
Dude,
but like even having a guy who can do that is
that was also like after a couple games into the series, like he started on Harrison Barnes, and then Harrison Barnes was terrible, and they switched him.
Just watching like LeBron and D Wade, you couldn't take a pass
You
and
couldn't
like
do
make
shit.
it lazy. Like they were just
It's
on
crazy
it. Like, oh
to
my
me that
God.
team lost two finals. But
Well, the
like at the same
Spurs
time,
are
it
that
took a
great.
while for them to
Tim
gel.
Duncan.
Yeah, that first year there were issues, and LeBron didn't really stake his claim as the best, and he didn't have the post game yet that he needed, and he crumbled. Like that's the biggest mark on his career is that Dallas series. And then in 2014, I mean, everyone except LeBron was running on fumes, and that Spurs team was fucking nasty.
D Wade was cooked, and he
Oh,
was
done.
awful.
Done.
He
I
was
think D
awful.
Wade was
Well,
honestly
wasn't
done
that the
previous year
Kawhi?
too.
That was Kawhi's championship with the Spurs, right? That was like his first kind of season. Like I think I don't even know if his playoff averages were that great, just because the Spurs are so balanced. But I know
think
that
he
was
averaged like
an
12
impact
points a
player.
game, but he was an impact player. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he won MVP, right? Did he win Finals MVP?
He won Finals MVP. Although I think that's one of the ones where people were like, that probably should have been like Tim Duncan.
Like the Iguodala Finals MVP that like really shouldn't have happened.
But it's like did you give it to the best player or did you give it to the guy who probably surprisingly impacted the win the most? Kawhi surprisingly impacted the win the most.
Yeah.
Dude, Tim Duncan might be the like silent
Could be the
goat.
goat.
Like his resume is insane, and all he did was the same 3 moves, and it's pretty hilarious.
Tim Duncan could be the best player of all time.
Yeah.
But because he doesn't beat his chest about it, he's never going to be considered the best player of all time.
I forgot what like rabbit hole I went down, but someone's like he would not only was like because he was a winner, like he integrated everyone into the team and did like whatever he needed to win, and like whatever like combination of guys they had, same with Popovich, like they would make it work to win. And
anyway, he's not like his game wasn't flashy. Like he wasn't like high flying dunks or like bombing threes. It was just like I'm gonna fundamental
hook shot, turn around, jump shot off the backboard.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like the most visually unappealing way of playing basketball, like old white man game.
Tim Duncan is also arguably the greatest power forward of all time, and he spent half his career at center.
Yeah. So, he's also
to be defender. That good and then be like, you know what, I'm going to play the harder position half the time because I'm still better than everyone at this is incredible.
And in an era with like Kevin Garnett, just like dudes that were so good at their position, Dirk Nowitzki, like Duncan was still consistently there every year.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
the Nets could use a Tim Duncan.
Just the Nets.
The fucking Wizards could use a Tim Duncan. A player who completely changes the culture of the organization, but like they're never going to have, because you need a Tim Duncan and you need a Pop. And the Wizards aren't going to get one, much less both. It's never going to happen.
You need the first overall pick, probably. Well, they could get that, but not. I mean, his current team is like built to be.
Yeah, we had John Wall. That was our first overall pick.
John Wall's great.
Wall NBA, baby.
Yeah, the John Wall.
3-time? I don't remember. I think he was 3-time All NBA.
First team, or
he was a beast.
No, he never made first team.
He never made first team.
I don't even know if he made second team. He might have been third team 3 times. He made all defense a couple times as well.
Guards were always insane.
The guard play is just insane in the NBA. Like it's always a gauntlet.
Yeah, there was that period where it was like, are John Wall and Bradley Beal the second best backcourt in the NBA behind Curry and Clay?
Oh,
because LeBron, yes, he is in the backcourt, but like,
but also not really.
Yeah, because they would always put him down as a forward.
I feel like guards,
if the question is if you consider him a point guard, then yeah, it's him and Kyrie, obviously. But
the NBA is so interesting. It's like with Curry, like you think like guards wouldn't be the centerpiece of a team, like just focusing even on the Kyrie to the Mavs deal. Like Zach Lowe brought up that all of the teams that Kyrie's been on in his past 4 years or whatever are like the same record with him on and off the court. It's like, how much does he actually impact win share? And it's like NFL teams that pay running backs. Like running back, if you have a great running back, and there are so many good running backs, they can help your team, but no Super Bowl winning team ever has the best running back. It's always the team that has like the best power forward, and it's always like a small forward, power forward, like team that has like lengthy role players, with the exception being like Steph Curry leading the Warriors. But
yeah,
I just wonder, like, because I'm thinking of like Dame Lillard too for the Blazers. Like he's so good and can easily take over games, put up 60, win you the game. But how far is that going to take you in the playoffs?
Yeah, unless you have the best shooting backcourt of all time, you need to have high level wing play to make it far. And even the word, like,
yeah,
I mean, the word, like,
you need a guy, even if it's undersized center like Draymond, you need a center who is able to defend probably at least 3 positions. You need a guy who can go 3 through 5.
They have to be able to switch. They can't be like.
I mean, that's the league now. If you
isolated.
can't switch, you're done. I don't care. I mean, if you can be
care if
Rudy
you're
Gobert
Jokic.
and you can be the best defensive interior protector ever, but if you cannot switch efficiently, and if your teammates cannot switch efficiently, you're barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, if Rudy Gobert played in 2004,
he'd be the best player ever.
he would probably be in Hall of Fame consideration.
He'd be like
Shaq.
Yeah.
I guess he probably will be in Hall of Fame consideration anyways, because he has like 3 or 4 defensive player of the years.
Yeah.
But like he would be probably one of the most dominant offensive forces, and he would be inarguably the most dominant defensive force in the game. You want to talk about Ben Wallace? No, fucking Rudy Gobert would be smashing people.
Prime Dwight Howard also played like a little bit later. I mean,
yeah, but Dwight Howard was like his prime was like 07 to
right?
11, probably. Yeah, that's when he was winning his. He was a little bit because he's a little bit younger than these guys.
And I also think
the Ben Wallace's.
Yeah, and I also think Dwight Howard will be like, he had his flowers. Like, people hated his personality, but as a player, like, he got all his flowers. But Rudy Gobert,
except for being 75 player.
Yeah, which is a joke.
Well, that was ridiculous. That was dumb. Yeah, that was stupid.
It's disgusting that he's not on. That Anthony Davis is on that list, but Dwight Howard is not.
Yeah,
it was too.
And Damian Lillard is on that list.
There's who else? There's someone that was a snub, like Tracy McGrady or someone. Like, was it T-Mac? There was some legend that was a snub that I remember like asking about. I remember them talking about.
Klay Thompson thinks he was a snub. Klay Thompson continues to act like he was a snub. When it's like, dude, if you were not on the same team as Steph Curry, you would be still one of the best shooters ever, but you would probably not have a single title to your name.
And be slightly better Joe Harris.
That slightly is doing a lot of work in that sentence.
I don't know about that one.
Hey, you put Steph Curry next to Joe Harris would be cooking.
I think Klay Thompson probably a little bit closer to like Reggie Miller than he is to Joe Harris. Honestly, that's disrespectful to like Joe Harris too, in a weird way.
It's funny you brought up both Ben Wallace and Reggie Miller, because I recently watched the Pacers Pistons Malice at the Palace documentary they did on Netflix. Have you guys watched it?
It's so good. I've
good.
Seen it. That came out a few years ago, right?
2021, yeah.
I thought it was like around COVID or that era, just because sports documentaries, I was watching so many of them.
Yeah.
Well, they also had a 30 for 30, right? Like years ago.
No, I remember.
Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they just had like a random, like boring ass, like ESPN doc or something like that.
The Ringer did like a 20-year, because it was, or 10-year. It was what,
10-year.
04, 05 or whatever when it was.
Because it was Reggie's last shot at a ring.
Yeah. No,
they were good. They were
really
team.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the Ringer did like a 10-year oral history, and basically like David Stern like wouldn't give away the footage, like wouldn't let them do any type of documentary about it, because it was like such a stain on the league. So I know that for the longest time, like so many filmmakers were like, can we, like, this is insane, like we have to do something on this, and he wouldn't let them. That's what the Ringer, or maybe it wasn't the Ringer, Grantland, whatever it was, but there's an article about it.
Yeah. Have you read the I don't know if it's, I think it was the Ringer. I'm almost positive the Ringer. I'm Googling it right now. Yes, it is. It's called I Believe I Can Fly, The Oral History of Space Jam. Have you guys read that one?
I don't think so.
I'll send it to you. It's incredible. It's basically like it's a satire on like their own.
Oh, is it the commentary of it, like the breakdown of the game, like the entire game against the Monstars? And
no, I think that's on YouTube. This one is like how it came to be and how they like hired Bugs Bunny to be in it and shit like that. And it's basically treating all these people as if they're like actual actors in Hollywood.
And not, yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, I did read this. It's classic Shea Serrano.
Yeah,
classic.
This was like peak Shea before he started doing like books and all that. Like this was probably right when he started doing books, when he still cared about doing articles. He's got a TV show coming out.
Oh, good for him.
With Mike Schur and the guy who did Scrubs and Ted Lasso and
Bill Lawrence.
Sorry, not Bill Lawrence. Bill Lawrence. Yes, it is Bill Lawrence, I think.
He was on the Scrubs podcast a bunch of times.
And who's the other guy from The Ringer? Oh, Jason Conception.
Concepcion.
He's Concepcion.
Yeah,
he's no longer with The Ringer.
He's at Cookie Media or something.
He hasn't been with The Ringer for a while, but he's also
Yeah.
working on this show with Shea, I think.
Like an actual TV show.
Yeah, an actual TV show.
Oh, good for him. I always like Shea.
Yeah. I got tired of his shtick after a while. I say that I have 3 of his books. So I still like his writing, but like his listening to Shea on podcasts is a lot less enjoyable than reading Shea for whatever reason. He just doesn't translate to podcasts very well. And like there was a period where I thought everything that he was doing, where he was like, you know, Predator is the greatest movie of all time, shit like that. I was like, oh, this is like satire. Like he's making fun of this thing. No, like he genuinely believes that, like Predator and like the first Fast and Furious are Citizen Kane of like cinema.
First Fast and Furious, so good.
It's fine. Like it's fine.
I love the first 2. I loved Too Fast, Too Furious, and then
I've only seen the first 3. I haven't seen past Tokyo Drift.
I think I've seen 1 past Tokyo Drift, and then it was.
I saw 7. We've completely missed the zeitgeist on Fast and Furious.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of them with The Rock. I don't think. Which that's like the last 3, right?
I've seen one scene from one with The Rock where he makes fun of Tyrese's head for being big, and that's fucking it. Because it's on YouTube and it popped up, and I was like, "Oh, I'll watch this," and he makes fun of him for having a big head. That's all I've seen. I like The Rock, but like the Fast.
He's got a god complex though. He doesn't. He has too much control of his character. He never wants to lose a fight.
So does Vin Diesel.
I was reading about how he messed up the whole DC series. He's like, I want to fight Superman and Henry Cavill, and
Don't him and Jason Statham like hate each other?
Him and Vin Diesel hate each other.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I think him and Jason Statham are friends, but him and Vin Diesel.
Maybe I'm thinking of Vin Diesel. I knew there's someone in the Fast. Yeah, the
Fast which is why he's not in the movies anymore, because
Statham or The Rock. Which one got cut?
The Rock.
Oh, okay.
Statham, I guess could come back if he wanted to, but they did like the Hobbs and Shaw thing, and I don't know. I don't have the energy to follow a cinematic universe built around cars.
Yeah, the first 2
I can barely follow the Marvel universe anymore.
It's built around family.
Grew up reading comics. It's not. It's built around Corona. It's not built around family. And we've had enough Corona for a lifetime over the past few years.
Corona,
God damn.
It's built around coronavirus?
Or no, they drink Corona in every movie.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
that was the play that I was going for. Thank you so much for making me explain the joke.
I didn't know that I drank Corona. Yeah.
We have talked about basketball so little, and we're like 3 minutes from having to jump off this.
Title this podcast Basketball and Other Things.
Shout out Shea Serrano.
Exactly.
I've got that book downstairs.
Yeah. I haven't read it. I haven't read anything he did. Like I wanted to read it like the essays he did on like Scrubs and The Office. That I was like, this is actually going like way too into like the character depths and stuff. It's like, at the end of the day, somebody fucking wrote this. Like,
Scrubs was one of my first COVID rewatches. We didn't make it all the way through. We made it to like season 6 or 7. But part of it is because if you watch it on streaming,
the music
they change the music.
Yeah, I can't watch it.
I know this is the wrong song. Like I remember what song played here, and this is not it.
Yeah, I can't watch on streaming services because
the music's so integral to the show. It'd be like watching. I don't know if you guys ever watched Garden State, another Zach Braff project.
Oh, so good.
And if you were to change the music in Garden State, like if you were to take like Death Cab for Cutie out of that movie, like what movie is it anymore? Like the music makes the movie.
And the Scrubs soundtrack is such a huge part of the show.
Yeah, the Scrubs, OC. There was a lot of shows in the early 2000s that launched so many like alternative bands.
Chuck, you guys ever watch Chuck?
Chuck was a really good one for that too.
So good.
Yeah. Chuck also really good for getting people to eat Subway.
Yeah.
You got to eat fresh.
And cheese puffs.
And cheese puffs. And also some car brand. Kia's maybe? I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah, that I don't remember.
They advertised some car brand, and Mr. Awesome or whatever his name was,
Captain Awesome
would always be like, oh, there's a lot of spacious room in my Kia and it's safe for the kids, and he would like look at the camera.
I should do a Scrubs rewatch or a Chuck. I mean both. I'll do both rewatch.
Do both.
Yeah,
take a break from anime for a little bit, make sure you watch Trigun, and then do a Scrubs and Chuck. Anything that starts with just one word, you can do a rewatch.
All right, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right,
Cheers too.
Also
I haven't watched
great.
Cheers.
Cheers
Ted
is
Danson.
incredible. Highly recommend it. Ted Danson is the man.
Rest in peace, Coach.
Woody Harrelson. Isn't he in Cheers?
The OG coach, or Woody Harrelson was the new coach, basically.
Yes. Yeah. He was not there in the beginning of the show.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
They had him come on later. Yeah.
But he was on for like most of it, I'm pretty sure.
Woody Harrelson in White Men Can't Jump, a movie about basketball.
With Wesley Snipes.
And that's full circle.
It all comes back.
Circle. We come back around to basketball. That's going to be it for this episode because we are out of time. If you're watching us on YouTube and this is how you decided to spend your time, first off, we appreciate you because this episode was chaotic and off the rails, but I had a good time. Make sure you click that like button. Make sure you comment below what you want us to talk about in a future episode. We are almost at the playoffs. And then after the playoffs, obviously, we are going to be at the off season. So we're always looking for things to talk about during the playoffs and the off season. I'm sure we're going to fill it with a lot of anime talk and video game talk and other shit that you may or may not care about. Make sure you click the subscribe button if you have not done so already. And if you're watching or listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything else like that, make sure you click that follow button. Make sure you rate and review 5 stars, or I don't want you to rate and review. And we will see you next time.
Adios.
See ya.